Hello, everyone. Um, it's 9:45. I'm TK, and this is Coach on the Rocks. Lovely to see you, and thank you for coming on this wonderful week. Hopefully, you're having a great time. So, you might have noticed that yesterday we have ran an interesting webinar at Humble Associates. You can go to our Humble Associates profile and see. It's all about diversity and inclusion. We had some amazing guests, and I think yeah, we had an amazing discussion and great comments, lots of really interesting engagement. Check it out. But as always, as we have these things, a day after, I'm thinking, okay, what is it that wasn't really said? What is it that we didn't have a chance to talk about? And after some reflection, I do. So, fairness, diversity and inclusion is based on fairness. And I think it's important, if you believe in it, to practice it as a leader or a member of a people team. Now, the interesting thing is how and how does it work? Well, when it comes to diversity and inclusion, you might want to look at the webinar. But when it comes to fairness, there's an interesting concept that I took from Adam Grant's book, Give and Take, which is all about people that you would label givers and takers. Now, the interesting thing is, when it comes to that, you would think that, oh, it's a no-brainer, right? You should stay away from the takers because they suck value from you, and be with givers so you can, enhance yourself. But something doesn't end up, really, when you think about it. The sum of it is probably not balanced out. So that's one thing. But it's not that binary, and it's not that simple. And if you work in a people team, you will know that you can't just have the givers, because the majority of us are actually what Adam calls matchers, right? We match what other people are giving or taking, driven, at least in my perspective, or other people I worked with, from the value of fairness. Now, it's for me personally, I really strongly subscribe to the value of fairness, and I think the interesting thing is sometimes I might even find myself going too far, especially when it goes and the going gets tough. As an example, I remember, I think I've talked about it a bit on this show about a situation I was in when I had to organize a rota of people being on call to support a given process. Well, it was necessary. I was actually working in a bank on a login system, so yeah, you really wanted that to work. And the people I was working with really didn't want to be on the call, 24/7 and such. And it's not something that they signed up for and so on. Yet, I think the social contract was that we had to do it, and it fell up onto me to figure out a fair way of getting it done. And I have to say, I went really to extra lengths. Was like asking people, talking with them, getting surveys, like organizing it and planning it far ahead, making sure that everyone carries this burden equally. Yeah, I think, at one point I thought, well, so I have to do that because they don't want to get this policy in. And yet, because of that, because we need to, I'll use the word suffer, I think it's only fair that there's some equality, and everyone knows that I'm doing my best to, if I can't reduce the suffering of being on call, quote unquote suffering. Actually, the process worked quite well, and no one was ever woken up. But beside the point, I think the biggest compliment I got in this particular job is one person saying to me that when something happened and we needed to replan, someone went off sick, and I said, "Okay, we need to replan," and so on. And the person said, "TK, you've been so fair, and you've done everything you could to listen to us. Some would say even a bit too much." And at that point, I thought, okay, well, that can happen. Now, if you're working in an HR capacity or you're a people leader, you know exactly what I mean, right? As a department, you're charged with implementing sometimes difficult policies. sometimes making sure that things happen and employees don't really like it. And yet, whether or not you agree with them, it might be a legal requirement or a policy that leadership wants to push forward. And hopefully, it's not that stupid, but there's an actual reason for introducing that, and it falls onto you to get it done. So it's really interesting because most people are matchers, and they really appreciate fairness. How important it is in your role, how important it is, so you know that when people trust you, even if you need to roll out an unpopular policy that people are unhappy about, but it's your job to do so, they will say, okay, well, at least we're being treated fairly. But when the opposite is true, and even if there's a mild change or even something positive happening, but people think that you are not being true to the value of fairness, the opposite will happen. They will start, putting rumors around in the mill, and you will be untrusted, and nasty things will happen in the organization culture, even if you're trying to do minor things, which will lead to the lack of your ability to make any change in the organization successful, because you've betrayed people's trust. Again, most are matchers, and if you are fair, people will be understanding and they will be fair to you. In my personal experience and opinion, you might think differently, of course, as people do, but it's always been my opinion, and I think that's always what I've seen. And if you want to learn more, read Adam's book, and come back tomorrow for the next Coach on the Rocks. See you and have a great day. Bye bye.